If you've been watching the Sneakometer podcast regularly, there's one thing that you will remember is that I'm a massive advocate of including Lockie Ferguson in the Royal Challengers Bengaluru side. Well, they did include him today. The result didn't make a difference because they've still ended up on the losing side. But I will say one thing in my defense, Sarvesh, is that Lockie Ferguson today was the difference between 287 and 300. Because if it wasn't for him and the two wickets that he picked up, we could have very well seen 300 for the first time in a T20 international. Your thoughts, please explain what we witnessed today.
Possibly. I mean, when the match started and when the toss happened and I saw Lockie Ferguson making his debut, I felt it could go in two different directions. He could pick up like 2-3 wickets for 20-25 runs, or he could just go for 50 plus runs in his 4 overs. But one thing I did not imagine was all the bowlers going for the similar economy. So Lockie Ferguson, I mean, he had a typical Lockie Ferguson day where he went for some runs and he picked up a few wickets. But the other bowlers also they had a Lockie Ferguson type day. So it was that kind of a game. You cannot, I mean, you just cannot imagine a team scoring close to 300 runs in a T20 game. This score used to be a good one in 50 overs game 20 years ago. In 20 years ago, if you say a team has given another team a target of 288, then you would have said that this team is going to win this match if they play normal cricket, if they bowl normally, and the opponents do not have a lot of hopes. I mean, in the late 90s at least, this used to be a match winning total in ODIs, and now we are in a situation where once again team scored 287 and scored in excess of 270, and the other team almost managed to get closer to that. So that's the kind of season that we are having. This was the third 270 plus total of the season. And in reply, the team today, RCB, the difference is only 25 runs. The last week, the difference against MI, the difference was only about 30 runs. It's that kind of a season. I don't have enough words to describe such matches. I don't know what happened.
Look, you said about 20 years back. I can remember a day last year, which was the 19th of November, when a score of 287 in 50 overs would have ensured India winning the World Cup, wouldn't they?
Yeah. I mean, it's that kind of a. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to describe this because see, before the start of the season, before the auctions, in fact, they announced that they are introducing a new rule of 2 bouncers per over, and we felt that this could actually bring the bowlers back in the game, and this could actually allow. I mean, this could actually allow some freedom to the faster bowlers, because this was needed. Because when last year we had that impact sub rule, we started seeing those 200 plus chases very regularly, because now you can have that extra batter who can bat at number 8 like a proper batter, and then he can go off and they can introduce another bowler. So the balance changed, the dynamics of the game, it started changing. So I think I felt that they needed to do something about it, because the 200 plus chases were becoming very frequent. So I felt they introduced this rule. But despite that, I think this season I don't know what this is, because the RCB's record of 263, it remained relevant for how many years now? I think 10 years, almost 10 years, because they scored those runs against Pune Warriors. Almost 10 years it was relevant, and now you see three teams have already crossed that total, and RCB themselves today almost they were 1 run short of that total. So it's that kind of season where nothing seems to work in favor of bowlers, and everyone is just coming and scoring runs.
Yeah, we try often to put kind of context to why this is happening. And one of the things we talk about is the boundaries are getting shorter, the pitches are getting better, the batters have better bats in their hands nowadays. They're working out in the gym, which means they can hit the ball longer. Um, all that put aside, though, we keep coming back to that one thing that as a bowler, you are the one who initiates the action on the field. And if you put the ball in a place which the batter can't do much with, then you're giving yourself the best chance of A, stopping the batter from scoring runs, B, probably getting the batter out. Now, even in this chaos that we see people like the Sunil Narayans of the world, the Jasprit Bumrahs of the world, coming up with performances which are totally different to what all their teammates are doing. So there is a method to even counter this, but you need to be highly skilled and you need to work hard on those skills to kind of execute them at the right time under the pressure
Yeah.
of an IPL game.
Yes, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, on this kind of, I just feel that the surface was not having any assistance, and then of course there are other things. I mean, SRH are doing most things correctly right now, but if you look at that RCB bowling, I felt there were a couple of bowlers short. I mean, they did not have their designated all-rounders, which started this season, Len Maxwell and Cameron Green. If you remember, they started with these two guys as their fifth bowling option. And today they did not have any of these guys. And they just had four primary bowlers, frontline bowlers, and then others for all-rounders. So I felt on this Chinnaswamy wicket, uh, just starting with four bowlers, four frontline bowlers, and even those four frontline bowlers are not having a great season. None of those bowlers are having a top class season by any means. So you're just starting with four bowlers and then having those all rounders with you, and you're expecting a team like SRH, who have batters like Klassen and Abhishek Sharma, Travis Head. They are in excellent form right now. If you're expecting these guys, you expecting your four bowlers and the other part-time bowlers to stop these guys, then it is not going to happen. I felt all this drama started, with this tactical error from RCB. They needed somebody else, someone extra in that bowling lineup.
Right, let's try and kind of have a look at how it exactly panned out. So we've got 287 that SRH put up. Um, Abhishek Sharma, Travis said they've been working really well for SRH, so it's not
Yeah.
surprising to see that both of them doing well. But 102 run innings of 41 deliveries with 9 fours and 8 sixes, strike rate of 249. This, I mean, we talk about innings and we talk about hundreds in the IPL and we talk about the average being around that 51 52 ball kind of mark. He smashed that by 10 deliveries,
Yeah.
you know so it's just one of I I mean, it might be too early to say it because we're not even halfway through the season, but this looks like one of the finest IPL innings of the season.
Of the season for sure. I mean, we had I think this was the fourth hundred, I think, of the season. Two were two came while chasing,
So we
and yeah, and both were in both did not help the teams to win the game. But I think this one was a special one because Travis had. I mean, if you remember, he was him and Hendrik Klassen. These guys were at RCB 4 5 years ago. So this is, you can say that this is his second stint at IPL, and so that way it was very important for him to perform and prove all the doubters right, all the doubters wrong, that he is somebody who can do the job, because once when you fail once and then you try to make a comeback, then you have that additional pressure. But Travis said, I think he's currently in form of his life. He's batting at his peak. So I think that was this is the primary reason, and the kind of performances that he has been putting this season against MI. We saw that that onslaught started with Travis Head. All those good knocks, or all those high totals from SRH, they are starting with Travis Head. He's been the foundation of that onslaught from SRH.
I mean, there's no point even talking about Henrik Klassen because we all know what he
Yeah.
does. He comes to bat and he starts hitting sixes. As you can see, 7 sixes and only two boundaries. No grounds big enough for him when he starts going. So let's not waste any time talking about him, or Aiden Markram for that matter, because the strike rate of 188 is standard
Yeah.
for Aiden Markram in the kind of form that he is. Let's talk a bit about Abdul Samad now.
Yeah.
For years and years, he's kind of been this kid who's got potential and he can hit a long ball and all of that. What do you think has changed this season? Because suddenly he's coming in and he is now delivering on a consistent basis, providing those finishes. 37 of 10 balls. This is exactly what Romario Shepherd did the other day for Mumbai Indians in that last over. Yeah,
And that was the margin, if you remember. And today, again,
yep.
if you see this total, and 25 runs was the margin, again, so this knock could probably be the margin. So I think you rightly pointed out, this knock was critical. I mean, when you score in excess of 260 or 250 rather, I mean, whatever comes in after that looks like a bonus. I mean, you cannot be asking for more than 250 or 260. But every run after that, it seems like it's a bonus run. So you don't really sweat about it, and you don't really try to overanalyze and say, oh, we should have gotten five more or six more. But even after that, I think he was just going after all the bowlers in the end. And at one time, it felt that 277 may not be reached again today, but he managed to do that. And when I think Klaasen got dismissed, and even they slowed down slightly towards the end, I felt they may not make it to 277 this time. But I think it was Abdul Samad's that smallish innings which made all the difference.
Yeah, it just goes to show the benefit of not ever being content with what you have, because
Exactly.
someone might say, oh yeah, we've got 250, we've got enough. You never stop, do you? You
Yeah.
just keep going, you just keep going, get as many as you can,
Yeah.
because in the end, sometimes those runs at the end are going to be the difference between a
Yeah.
win and a loss.
Absolutely.
Another telling stat, 19 boundaries hit and 22 sixes hit. So we've had more sixes hit than fours in this innings, and a run rate of 14.23. Just
Yeah.
imagine coming out to bat, and from ball one, you have to go at 15 runs and over to kind of be in the hunt. Yeah, just
Those
phenomenal numbers, which,
Yeah, those 22 sixes, highest ever in an IPL innings. Previously, the record belonged to, I think, let me check. I think it belonged to RCB. Yeah, it was
yeah,
against RCB scored
that was
21
when Gale,
sixes. Yeah, that
yeah, Gale hit all
Gale
those
storm.
sixes. Yeah.
Yeah, in that Gale Storm match against Pune Warriors. This came 11 years ago. They hit 21 sixes at the same venue. And after that, the MI versus SRH game a couple of weeks ago, which had MI scored 26s. So these were the top two. But now they have broken this record, 22 sixes in one innings. I mean, 22 sixes is basically how many? 3.4 overs. So out of 20 overs, 3 points. So let's round it off to four. So basically, 20% of the deliveries are going for six. Around 18, 19% deliveries of the entire. I mean, this is a crazy stat.
And 22, what's 22 times 6? That's about 144.
Yeah,
So 144 runs in sixes. So yeah, that's just, I mean, whichever way you look at it, it's just
yeah,
bizarre.
yeah,
I don't think I've seen anything like it in all my lifetime of watching cricket.
yeah,
But yeah, that's where we are at the moment. Let's have a look at that bowling card. Let's see the damage, the destruction that was done. So Will Jacks opening the bowling, RCB at least trying something new. I was a bit surprised not to see Yash Dayal, because his forte
strength. Yeah,
is the new ball,
yeah,
the swing with the new ball. So I was a bit miffed about the fact that they didn't utilize him in that with the new ball as they should. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know whether that would have made any difference, to be honest. We've spoken about Lockie Ferguson coming in, picking up 2 for 52. And again, as I said, probably those 2 wickets, because he got the big wicket of Travis Head, he
yeah,
got the big wicket of Henrik Klassen. Basically, um, I would say that he was the difference between we seeing a 300
yeah.
total and a 287 total. Um, just a couple of quick questions for you, Sarvesh, on this front. We talk about RCB and we talk about all their problems. And we say, their strategy is wrong and their selections are wrong. But if we dial it right back, do you think there's a correlation with the fact that they had an absolutely poor auction,
Yeah.
which is kind of leading to the carnage that we're seeing right now?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think it all started with that auction. I will give you one example how auction can affect you in long term. So, if I will give you an example of MI, because MI, they are not known for having great mega auctions. So after all the mega auctions, MI never managed to win any of the IPLs. So all their titles, most of the titles, not all. I think they won immediately after mega auction, but I think most of their titles have come in a couple of years or 1 year after that mega auction. So what they do is they go in that mega auction. They make some buys. Some of them may not work out. So what they do is they make some smart trades, and then in the following options, the follow-up of that mega option, what they do is they buy smart. They buy smartly, and they try to fill in those smaller or whatever holes that they have with using that those smaller auctions, or they use the trades transfer windows. So you can actually afford to have a bad mega auction, but you cannot afford to have poor run of auctions. A poor, I mean, subsequent auctions cannot be just that level. I mean, it cannot be poor for you. You just have to keep improving. If you're having a bad mega auction, then you have to make up for that in the subsequent auctions. This did not happen with RCB. We saw that they let Chehal go, but they trusted Hasranga and Harshal Patel. They bought these guys back, and then after season they let them go after a couple of seasons. So I think this tells you that there is no consistency in their planning. There was not any. I mean, there of course they had a change in management. We saw a lot of changes in that backroom staff, change in brains at the top. So I think it was a result of that. But I think I mean, 2 years is not a good period. I mean, you backed Hasranga and Harshal Patel, these guys, to do that job for you. You let Chehal go for them, and now you let these guys go as well. Hasranga went for 1.5 crores. I mean, I don't understand some of those decisions. So no, it is not just the mega auction. It is also about the subsequent auctions. It is also about the trades. Now, talking about trades, we can once again talk about Cameron Green and what happened there. I felt it was 17.5 crores they spent on him, and he's not even starting for them right now. So once again, it tells you that they are not. I mean, nothing. Just they're not doing anything. I mean, nothing is falling in place for them. It is just going in the wrong direction, in the negative direction for them. So I think you have to stop this free fall at some point, at some by doing something, and they are just not able to do that. So I think that's the major issue.
That's a good point you bring up because the amount they spent on Cameron Green eventually meant that they didn't have enough money to go and get some good Indian spinners,
Yeah.
which then means that now they are having to do with spin from Will Jacks and from Maipal Lomro today, which is never going to cut the mustard
Yeah.
because they're just not that skill level is just not there.
I mean, it is
One
not
last
just
question.
about the spinners. If you look at the purchases that they made, they bought Alzari Joseph for 12 crores, and then there is Spencer Johnson who went for 10 to Gujarat. Then there is Nandre Berger who went for like on his base price to Rajasthan. So there were a lot many players available, even though those purchases were questionable. So I think nothing. I just like I said, nothing worked out for them.
Yeah. One last question on this. Like we've seen Virat Kohli be very kind of clear about what he wants, who he wants in his side when he was captain of India.
Yeah.
He wanted to create a pool of fast bowlers, which he did. He knew he needed fast bowlers to win overseas. He did that. He knew that they had to change their style of play when they go overseas, so he did that. So he was a very proactive captain. For India, and someone who always kind of knew what he wanted, backed his players, and got the best out of them. Um, do you think that the Virat Kohli of RCB doesn't get a free hold on the team like he did with Team India? Because he was captain for majority of the time. I mean, he's given up captaincy for the last couple of years now, and I don't know how involved he is in the management or the day-to-day running of the team
I don't think he's involved uh, with that level of
at all.
magnitude. Yeah, I don't think he's involved in that level of magnitude. He used to be involved at one point in time. You could see him very animated, and you could see him very frustrated when things were not going well for them. But nowadays, you will see Virat Kohli. He's much more relaxed, and he's just having fun. He's just trying to enjoy all these games. I mean, results will just come. I think that's his attitude these days. I mean, there's nothing more you can do. You can go there, bat well, and titles will come if they have to come. I think that's the attitude that he's having right now, and I think I think he's just enjoying, and I don't think he's having that kind of a control. And it is correct. This is Faf du Plessis' team, and there is different management in place now. So the entire management when Virat was there, he was captaining. I think Sanjay Bangar was there, and I think the entire backroom staff was different. And now it's completely gone, and this is a revamped looking new staff, new backroom staff they installed, and I just feel that these guys are. I mean, this is still for first year for them, and I'm glad that they did this change. They just before the mega auction. I mean, it reflects very poorly on the management if you immediately change your management after the mega auction. So this has allowed them to just sort of introspect and sort of they can analyze what are the issues with them. Now they can come up with a good plan for in next 7-8 months, and then they can sit for that mega auction, knowing all the shortcomings and all the positives. So I think that way it's a good thing for them.
Absolutely. I mean, they need to get their strategy right. They need to get their selections right, and it all starts at that auction table
Yeah,
for
yeah,
them. So, yeah, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that we just round the corner of a
yeah,
mega auction.
yeah,
Right, let's see what they came up when it was their turn with the bat. So RCB falling short by 25 runs, finishing off with 262 for 7, which in itself very, very impressive because of the fact that when you're chasing a mammoth total like 287, it's very easy for a side to just crumble. Um, but we saw that they hung in there, they fought till the end, and then in the end just falling a bit short.
yeah,
Um, we saw a slightly different Virat Kohli today. He had no other option, had to
yeah,
go from ball number one. We saw a different kind of Faf du Plessis also. Normally, you don't associate strike rates of 210 and 221 with either of those players. But playing to the occasion, playing
yeah,
to what was required, and it came off for them.
yeah. If you add their totals, I think they scored from the 48 deliveries. That's 8 overs, 98,
104.
104. That tells you, and they had a good start. They got off to a good start, and Will Jacks got run out in a very unfortunate manner. And then Rajat Patidar and Saurav Chauhan. I mean, these guys. Rajat had a good innings versus Mumbai, but apart from that, his season is not great, not going great. And then Dinesh Karthik storm. I think we need to talk a bit about Dinesh Karthik and what
Yeah,
he is doing.
yeah. Yeah,
So
we'll come to that shortly. But before that, I've got a couple of questions for you. Now, again, from a strategic point of view, you had Mayank Markande who came into bowl and he got Virat Kohli. Now, we've seen CSK do this very well is when a spinner's bowling, and if he gets the wicket of the first ball, Shivam Dubey has the full over to come up and try and take him for at least a couple of sixes.
yeah,
When the wicket of Virat Kohli fell, we had three left-handers in that lineup. We had Saurav Chauhan, who's supposed to be the big gung-ho hitter of
yeah,
spinners. We've had Mahipal Lomror, who's been in phenomenal form, striking form for them. And we had Anuj Rawat, who came in as the impact sub. So three left-handers, leg spinner bowling. Strategically, you would think from a matchups point of view that you send one of them up rather than your international batter who's not used to playing spin as much. Do you agree?
I think they needed to do something different in this game because then you cannot plan for such chases. I mean, you can never think of a chase like 287. So I think in situations like this, we have seen teams doing this a lot. I remember in the earlier days, especially around 2015-16, a lot of teams used to do this. Mumbai used to send Harbhajan Singh up, and all the teams I have seen CSK using Manpreet Goni, and all those things used to happen. I mean, those used to happen for a reason. I think you rightly said Rajat is not the best when he's not in the best of the forms right now. So I think it made sense to have somebody maybe left-handed. I mean, Mahipal Lomror is your designated player who can play spin well. I would say he's a designated spin basher in this team, and he's batting at number 7. So at number 7, you are not likely to get too many overs of spin. You are likely to face the seamers, and they did the same thing when Shivam Dubey was with them. He used to bat at number 5, number 6 when against the seamers at the back end of the innings. We used to come and just bowl those bouncers and try to push him on the back foot. That was his role in this team. So now you think a very different Shivam Dubey at CSK because they are utilizing him correctly. So you rightly pointed out they had a case to send Mahipal Lomror or Anuj Rawat. One of these guys have just look to do something different and just because there is nothing more to lose in this game. You're already behind by a lot, and nobody expects you to chase 287. I mean, if it happens, great, but if it doesn't happen, nobody is going to blame you that okay, you sent Rajat Patidar down and you sent Mahipal Lomror at 3. That's why you lost. That is not going to happen because people expect you to just go just go downhill after conceding 287. So I think a trick missed.
I don't want to be too harsh on Saurav Chauhan, but is he a fish out of water at the moment in that lineup? I'll tell you, and there are a couple of reasons why I say this. I'm a huge believer in body language. When I see a cricketer, and I'm watching them, I'm looking at the body language to see what can I see in their eyes, because a lot of times when you look into people's eyes, you can tell what they're feeling. Um, we've got a few debutants in this IPL who've done really well. The likes of you've got Shashank Singh. I mean, he's not a debutant, but a newcomer of sorts. We've got Ashutosh Sharma, who we
Oh,
see. But the look in Ashutosh Sharma's eyes vis-a-vis the look in Saurav Chauhan's eyes is completely different. You look at Ashutosh Sharma, he seems keen, he wants to get involved. I think what I'm trying to get at is he feels he belongs at this stage, and he feels that he's a part of this stage and he can perform. On the last delivery of SRH's innings, there was a ball which went up in the air,
yeah,
and we saw Saurav Chauhan dropping an absolute sitter.
super.
At any level, you should be catching that ball. So I'm just wondering if in his mind he's not completely there, present, wherein uh, is that a confidence thing? Is there a thing wherein you think, look, I don't really belong here. This level is a bit beyond what I play at, because that first delivery that he got from Pat Cummins, he was late on it,
Yeah.
and Pat Cummins is quick. He's not express quick though, and as a batter who's played first class cricket and who's playing the IPL, you're expected to get bat on ball to a
Yeah.
full delivery like that.
I mean, I don't want to read too much into Saurav Chauhan right now because he's somebody who hasn't been playing consistently, and they just brought him in the last auction. He's someone we spoke about him in our review. He's someone who can do everything. He can bat at the top. He can keep a bit. He can do everything. I mean, so he's that kind of a utility player that they bought. I still don't know what his role is right now in this team because I felt he should be batting slightly higher. I mean, I have seen him bat in the top order, but in this team he cannot bat there. So I think I don't just know what his role is right now. They are just trying to fit in another batter in, and without actually paying closer attention to his role and everything. And I think in this team, I think everyone right now looks unsettled. I mean, nobody knows what they're going to do, and nobody knows their batting position. That's the situation. I mean, even if Cameron Green comes back in the next game, I feel that he's going to have that something in his mind that okay, I'm trying to make a comeback here. I need to do some things correctly, and that kind of a pressure he will carry. Even with an experienced pro like Cameron Green, it can happen in the next game. So I think players like Saurav Chauhan who are just coming and making their debut, I think they need a bit more support. They need some clarity of thoughts. They need some support from the management. I think that is not happening. Is my reading? I could be very wrong here. At the back end, things could be very different. But I think the youngsters they come in, I think you need to support these guys. You need to give them a consistent run. I mean, you look at CSK; they have been giving a decent enough run to Samir Rizvi. I mean, he's not batting in all the matches, but they are sticking with him. And you will see similar things happening with almost all the teams. They are just sticking with their new players because you know that these players are not going to start perform. They are not going to perform for you from ball number one, from game number one. So I think I won't read too much into his, but I hope that there's somebody goes and just have a word with him. I think that's what I see of Saurav Chauhan. And I mean, in this entire team, I feel there are a lot of players who are not settled in right now. Apart from DK, there's only one man who knows what he's doing, and that is DK.
Yeah. And since you brought that up, let's talk about DK, because there's a lot of debate going on as to who's going to be India's wicketkeeper at the T20 World Cup. Sanju Samson's having a good tournament so far. Rishabh Pant has shown us a couple of flashes of brilliance of what he's capable of. Um, and it's a World Cup year, so it's no surprise that Dinesh Karthik is once again putting his name in the hat, and 35 ball 83, striking at 237, chasing a total of 287. Um, he's doing his chances no harm, is
Yeah,
he?
yeah. I mean, he's doing. I mean, I don't even think he's thinking about that World Cup and that 11. I just feel that he's going there, enjoying himself, and doing what he does best. I think that's the kind of role that he has given to himself, and I think he's just sticking to it. I don't think he's thinking too much about that World Cup spot, but I think he knows that if it happens, then there can't be any better farewell than playing for your country in a World Cup, and then probably if he wins it, then that will be the icing on the cake. And I really hope that happens if he goes there. Even if it doesn't go, I hope it happens. But somebody like Dinesh Karthik, who has been around for more than 20 years now, I mean, I hope that he. I mean, there was a debate going on between Ambati Radu and Irfan Pathan in the commentary box at Star. I was listening to them, and Ambati Rayudu said, "There is nobody. Tell me one batter who is hitting it better than DK right now, who's Indian and who is a wicketkeeper or who can bat at that spot and who can fill in that wicketkeeper spot." And the obvious answer is there is nobody else apart from DK. But Irfan Pathan, he had this counter argument. He said that you have already tried DK in World Cups before. He has been there and we have tried him. And it's not that we have just given him one World Cup, but he was trusted for multiple World Cups and it couldn't come off for him. So would you again go for somebody like DK who has been preferred before but he couldn't deliver on that occasion? Or would you look at somebody else like Rishabh Pant or Sanju Samson? That was his counter argument. I tend to agree with both. I feel Dinesh Karthik had his chances before in 2019, in 2020. I think 2021, I think he went 2022, I think.
He went to Australia in
Yeah,
22.
2022,
Yeah.
So I think I also tend to agree with this argument as well, that he had his chances. So I feel if it happens, I mean, there's no harm in just taking DK even as a backup, because I don't think what he's doing right now. See, he's not going to impact you negatively. He's going to get out on first or second ball if he's not in the good touch, but he's not going to impact you negatively. If whatever he is going to do is going to result in a positive impact. So, and that's one thing with DK. So I think there's no harm in taking him to World Cup. At least have somebody, because you need two wicket keepers. You need somebody as a backup. So I feel if you are going to take two wicket keepers, then I think one of them, taking DK to World Cup I think it's sensible at this moment.
I've got my own theory how to answer that question for you. I go back to what Saurav Ganguly used to ask himself when he picked anybody in the side, and he used to pick on the basis of the fact that he used to ask himself and say, on his best day, can he win me a game single-handedly? And that to me is the crux, that when you pick your 11, you want 11 fellows that on their given day, on their best day, if they have a good day, that they can single-handedly win you that game. And which is why he picked the likes of Virendra Sehwag, because he believed he could do that. He picked the likes of Yuvraj Singh because he believed he could do that. He picked the likes of Zair Khan because he believed that he could do that. So all those players who Saurav Ganguly picked were picked on one gut and saying if they have a good day, they can win me a game. And that's the question. If you ask me, I'd still wait until the second half of the IPL to see how it all pans out, and to see if he keeps going this way. Though he makes it very hard not to be considered for that T20 World Cup. So there we have it. Let's have a look at what SRH did with the ball. I mean, they had the cushion of 287, so it's always easier bowling with that cushion. But as you can see, very similar figures to what we saw the RCB bowlers go for. It's not every day that you see Bhuvi going for 60 in his 4 overs. You don't see Jaydev Unadkat going at 37 in 2 overs is quite regular, and I'm not being harsh when I say that.
But all the bowlers have gone for more than 10 or at least 10 runs.
More than 10. But then the asking rate was 14 point something. So as long as you're less than that, then you're still doing a good job. So Abhishek Sharma, Natarajan, Cummins, Markande can all hold their heads high because they've actually done well. Quick one on Pat Cummins. Of all the bowlers on display today, we saw the value of experience and the value of the smarts that he has. Just making sure he keeps out of the batsman's hitting arc, making sure he uses the slow ones, making sure he hits the pitch hard. We had some question marks around his T20 credentials, but it just looks like this tournament is a great tournament for him to kind of find the T20 bowler in himself.
I think he's captaining the side and now he understands where to use himself. I don't think he was getting used correctly in the seasons before. At KKR, I don't think they used him correctly. And now I think since he's the captain, he can bring himself on whenever he wants, in whichever phase he thinks is best. So he can, apply himself in that phase. So I think that's the freedom that he's getting, and he's making good use of that freedom. And let's not forget, I personally feel that he's currently at his captaincy peak. I mean, all captains have their peak. Pat Cummins, in my opinion, is currently at his captaincy peak. So, all those things are falling in place for him. and he's a smart operator. He knows how to manage the game. At one point, I felt that RCB are in with a chance, just like I felt that day versus when SRH were playing MI, and I felt MI had a chance at one point, but I knew that after watching that game, I knew that Pat Cummins is going to make a difference even today, because he will bring himself on at a situation where the bowler had just conceded around 15, 20, 25 runs, and then he will bring himself on, and then when he will apply those breaks, he will pick up a wicket or two, and then he will suddenly again change the dynamics of the game. So he's that kind of a player. He knows how to manage these games perfectly. I mean, game management is something we don't talk about a lot, but I think that's required. When you know how to manage the games, not just in cricket, in football, all the other sports, you should have a clear cut idea of when to slow down the game, when to accelerate, when to sneak in your part timers in, and all those things. I mean, all those smaller things, all those finer details. I think he's master of all those things right now. So I think it is just helping his cause. His captaining the side again, like I mentioned, is helping it.
We all raised question marks on
Yeah,
SRH when they named him captain, and we thought, oh, is this the right thing to
yeah,
do? Because Markram, don't forget, had won them 2 titles in the SA
yeah,
T20 competition.
yeah.
But clearly, they've done
Made
the
the
right
right
thing
decision.
because
Yeah,
they're trying to ride on the high of Pat Cummins's confidence at the moment.
yeah,
Because winning the World Test Championship, winning the ODI World Cup, Cummins, just as an individual and a captain, is full of confidence at the moment, making all the right decisions, and is on a high. So they're riding on his high as well. So
yeah,
well done to whoever was involved in making that decision.
yeah,
One telling stat again: 24 fours, 16 sixes. That makes it 38 sixes for the match,
yeah,
which I think equals the record,
yeah.
because I think in that
Nice, RH. 38.
277
Yeah.
game it was 38 as well.
Yes.
But yeah, there you have it. SRH winning by 25, picking up points, which means what does that do to our points table? So HRH climbing up all the time. 6 games played, 4 wins, 8 points with a healthy net run rate. Bengaluru, though, right at the bottom, played 7, won only a solitary game. The net run rate's looking in tatters. 2 points to show for everything that they've done this season. Um, uh, when you come to such a stage, this is the halfway mark for them
Yeah.
in the season, and they are practically out of this tournament because, as we know, to get 16, they need to win all 7 of their next games,
Yeah.
which I think is a tough ask in a competition like this. But you've got a slightly different theory to this whole 10-team tournament, Sarvesh,
Yeah.
which you messaging me earlier.
Yeah.
Can you just explain to our listeners and viewers what that is?
It's very difficult to make a comeback in a 10-team format. It used to be slightly easier in a 8-team format, because in 8-team format, you are going to play your 7 opponents twice in the same season. Now, right now, that's not going to happen, because you are going to play, I think, 5 of them twice, and then the other 4 of them only once. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that it's difficult because, let's say, now I'll give an example. Let's say Gujarat is trying to fight Hyderabad, Chennai, and Lucknow for that fourth spot. And but if you look at those fixtures, I mean, I'm not sure if they what is going to happen next, and I don't know the fixtures, but I'm just giving an example. But if they are going to play Chennai, Hyderabad, and Lucknow only once, and if they have already played those games, then they do not have any control over these teams dropping points. So these they will have to rely on other teams to defeat these guys, and then they will hope to climb up. So that's one thing, and I mean this is the basic thing, because you do not have control over the fixtures of your opponents. I mean, you will have to hope. You will have to. This is a situation teams don't like, because things are not in their control. If they have to rely on somebody else to defeat those teams, then it's not good for you. So I think this control, they do not have that control. And again, in a 10-team format, you are likely to see 1 or 2 teams down at the bottom who are not going to. I mean, at this stage, look at number 8, 9, 10. It looks like they are already out, and it's not even 50% of the tournament. We
Yeah.
have got 70 games, 70 league games. We are just done with the 30 games, and it already looks like the bottom 3 is already out. They are not going to make it. In fact, bottom 4, it is going to be very difficult for these guys to qualify. So it is basically just down to 4, 5, 6 fighting for that fourth spot, or probably 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's that kind of season. So, these two teams down at the bottom, these few teams, they are always going to find it difficult because of the team dilution and all the dynamics. Because earlier we used to have in a 8-team format, we used to have a much closer competition. Number 7 used to be just a couple of wins away from that fourth spot. Now it's not happening because again now the players have been divided in 10 teams, so it becomes a bit more difficult for these guys to make a comeback. Earlier we have seen RCB coming back from a situation like 3-4 losses. Mumbai Indians have made a comeback after 4-5 losses. So that is just practically, I feel it's impossible in a 10-team format.
Yeah, one of the things that I was worried about when they moved to a 10-team format was the dilution of the
Yeah,
resources, which we didn't see in the first couple of seasons. But I think as the tournament
yeah,
gets older and older, we might see a bit more of that.
yeah,
But then again, the country is full of talent. It just means that we need to be better at spotting talent. We need to better at nurturing talent, and teams need to be better at selecting talent
yeah.
to kind of represent them. Right. So there we have it. Anything else to chat about other than this, or are we good to call it at night?
Yeah, just
Oh
have a
yes, tomorrow's.
tomorrow's
Yes.
game. We have KKR and SRH, KKR and Rajasthan Royals. Sorry, these two teams are sitting at the top, number 1 and number 2. They have lost. KKR have lost only one game. So Rajasthan similarly have lost only one game. So again, going to be a very good game. Last since 2019, almost neck to neck. 5-4 in favor of KKR, slightly in favor of KKR. Uh, Looking at the history of Eden Gardens, again, 9 times teams batting first have won it. 9 times teams chasing have won it. Very high average first inning totals, around 193. If you look at average winning total batting first is somewhere around 213. That tells you that this is going to be a high scoring game. Whoever is going to bat first will have to put on a good total. It's that kind of a game. Expect a lot of fireworks, a lot of maybe big totals, and then both teams have got good bowling attack. That's one thing for sure. Both teams have got good quality spinners. So I think it's going to be a very good game. We may not see high totals, but we'll see some good competition between bat and ball, which we didn't see today, unfortunately.
Absolutely. It's the battle at the top of the table for bragging rights. Both teams very, very likely to qualify for the playoffs, but a win will just make it that much easier and will confirm
Yeah,
that you finish either in first or second spot, which is where you want to be.
right.
Um, yeah, so it's going to be an exciting day tomorrow as well. We'll be back. We've got a apology for our viewers that we weren't there yesterday. We had a few technical issues that prevented us from coming online yesterday. But yeah, we will be there on air every day from now on. So yeah, looking forward to having all you watching us. If you've got any feedback, please do give us. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that and follow us on our Twitter handle and on our Instagram as well. But until tomorrow, the news from match number 30 is that RCB have lost once again. SRH picking up the points, which means RCB season is practically almost over. What do they say? A Sala Cup Namde? I don't think so. That's going to happen this year at least. But hey, miracles do happen, and if it does happen, it'll be a bloody good ride to be a part of. That's all we have for you from the Sneakometer podcast. Thanks for watching, and we'll be with you tomorrow.